President Sahle-Work Zewde, you're the president of Ethiopia, but you're famously known to me as my dear big sister. And you're one of Africa's foremost leaders. You are also the first female president of Ethiopia. And you are one of the two presidents we have, female presidents in Africa. The other is your sister, President Samia Suluhu Hassan of Tanzania. And actually, ladies and gentlemen, just yesterday was Our Excellency President Zewde, 5th year as president in Ethiopia. Please give it up to her for. And their big sister, you have a whole range of things. You serve as ambassador for several countries. You've been at the UN at topmost levels in various parts of the United Nations. And you were named by Forbes as one of the world's 100 most powerful women. Wow, I love that. So you've seen it all, from the national level to the global level. Yeah. So tell us, Madam President, why is it? What's it that drives it? What's the importance of political will, I guess, in tackling food security issues in Africa and globally?
Okay. Thank you very much, President Adesina. First of all, let me tell you how happy I am to be here in Iowa. I have to confess that I never expected to be somewhere and talk about food security and so on and so forth. As the President said, my area of competence has been diplomacy. That's where I have worked. Of course, it doesn't exclude these topics, obviously. But it's a totally different place. So I'm really, really happy to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation. I must say that with my gray hair, I have seen a lot, but I think...
For every single one of them, I guess.
We have come a long way in terms of where we want to go as a continent. I have been listening, sitting behind about the Dakar 2 summit that you talked and so on. And there is a big shift in the way we do business on this continent, and Dakar summit has proven it. It was held in January, and in February, the African Union Heads of States and Governments Assembly has adopted it. So it's a blueprint of the African Union. What led us to this is, as you said, a political will. For time immemorial, this area has not been given due attention. Agriculture. When on the other side, we have the huge part of our population, living of it. Mr. President, it's a huge change of mindset that we're seeing unfolding on the continent, that we cannot go far if we don't unleash the whole potential. Africa has been portrayed as a very rich country, and rightly so, in terms of resources, in terms of arable land that you have, fertile land that you have, and so on, that we have not used. So now this equation of rich country in terms of resources, and yet poor people, has to change, obviously. It will be difficult, in fact, to explain to the coming generations, our generations in Africa, that this is the status quo. So I think this is what has led to this situation. And second, really, I don't know if it is the second or third, you mentioned, I was listening to your wonderful and presentation that you made earlier about what the bank is doing, what we are doing in Africa. In fact, you have answered some of the questions you might ask me. I think we have to wake up from where we are. We cannot suffer of food shortages, fertilizers that we cannot get, and so on, because there is trouble somewhere in the world. that self-sufficiency is becoming not only a necessity, but really an obligation if we want to move forward. But that obligation has been now adopted. All member states are committed to it. It's our continental organization's program. So political will, as you have mentioned, is central to all this. Daring to go that way, to try to see what is it that we can get, and maybe I'll say it later if you ask me that it is possible to do it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Please thank Her Excellency for that. Very thoughtful. Madam President, there's such a much buzz about Ethiopia with regard to its wheat revolution, which I mentioned also in my opening address. And what do you consider to be the keys to the success that you have with this? And I remember when I met with Prime Minister Abe in Paris when we were there together with President Macron. Mm-hmm. And I walked up to him and I said, well, Mr. Prime Minister, congratulations. You are now at 1.4 million hectares in heat-tolerant varieties in Ethiopia. And he said, well, Akin, we're now at 2 million. So I said, Mr. Prime Minister, warn me ahead of time so that the speed at which you're going is so remarkable, so that I can get my numbers right next time. But what's been behind this? What's driving this? What's the key to this success, and what can other African countries learn from it?
Yeah. First of all, it's, as we said earlier, it's a political will. Second is to really identify what is it that we can do to address the issues that we have at hand. You know, Ethiopia has suffered in its history of food insecurity, but the most severe form of it, famine. And we didn't find the right way to make this food insecurity really history. So that has been lingering in the mind of many leaders since that time. Now it's to identify what is it that is now the crop that will be definitely used for our domestic consumption, and wheat appears to be one of the stable foods that is growing. The demand is growing internally, and that can be produced in many areas, and between two seasons of harvesting of other crops. So instead of having unused land waiting for the next rainy season to harvest, that was possible to do it. So moving from there, we have had the production of, as you said, heat-resistant wheat varieties, which has been distributed to our smallholder farmers, millions of them. And the land tenure in Ethiopia is also one of the challenges that we have. But the system of using the land in the form of cluster, coming together to harvest, has increased the productivity tremendously. And that wheat revolution, really, this is what has happened, was possible definitely because of that, and it has shown that transforming agriculture in that magnitude is indeed possible. Oh. And of course, irrigation, you mentioned it. Mm-hmm. In less than 5 years, we moved from 5,000 hectares to 1.4, and the plan is to increase by 37%, but to reach, he told you 2, but 5 million now is the target by
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. That's good. One of the other things that's really Ethiopia is renowned for is what's going on with the agro-industrial parks that you have. I've visited quite a number of them, and again, this is helping you to diversify your economy, to earn more foreign exchange. Again, there's this phenomenal development for Ethiopia. What's again what are the lessons and what's been your experiences with these agro-industrial parks? You spoke yesterday at the session
Yes.
On special agro-industrial processing zones so passionately about this.
Yes. Currently, we have 4 of them, pilot bases, and I think 20 regional transformation centers. Because at the end of the day, producing is not enough. We produce coffee, for instance, but we don't process it. Now we have started to do that instead of exporting the raw material that we have. This is again, a change of mindset. The raw should not be exported. We have to add value and process it at home. So this is what we had. And, you know, producing food by itself cannot make us food sufficient if we don't have market in it. So the market is very important. That's why the processing, you know, of our products will be extremely important. That's why we have this. It adds value, but it creates also jobs. And I must also emphasize on the fact that from the industrial zone that I have myself visited, the majority of the workers are women, young women, who really benefit from it. And there is now a great consciousness among Ethiopians that producing is not enough. If there is no market, then that's where you don't, I mean, you cannot find, you know, products and nutritious products on the table. Market is very important. This is what brings the added value of having these agro-industrial parks, integrated agro-industrial parks. It's new to Ethiopia. I remember at the beginning there was some resistance, not knowing exactly what it would mean, but later on we have seen how it has attracted, you know, many were coming to have a part of the shade, and it's definitely promising. The plan is to increase, but we have to see the result with these 4 agro-industrial parks. I know in both with production and this, I must say that the bank that you are so ably leading has been with us, supporting us, and this is very important. By the way, since I'm sitting here, none of this would be possible if there is no finance. That's where we need this partnership, investment in those areas. The door is open, not only in Ethiopia, but the whole Africa, where we can partner with, you know, diversify our partnership. And the main driving force will be the interests of the country, of course, and we can have win-win solutions to that. So really, it's just to invite you to look towards Africa. The president has said earlier, now the world has acknowledged the fact that, in fact, this continent can feed the world. For so long, the resources were extracted and so on, not knowing exactly to what use, in fact, not benefiting the population. Now it's the reverse. So,
thank you very much, Madam President. Well, you know, the thing that's, as you go around Africa, you see that agriculture is really run by women, and they're the core of it. And as I'll always say, I'm very passionate about women in leadership, and so that's why your leadership is very inspiring for me and many others. And I think if women were around the world would be a more peaceful place and much better place. And so
I don't disagree.
I think so, but that's. But I do want to say that for agriculture, what can we do to improve the situation and conditions of women who actually run agriculture on our continent?
Women in Ethiopia, as well as in Africa, constitute more than 50% of the population. There is no empowerment of women, gender equality of women on our continent if we don't have the rural, the women in agriculture. feeding the countries, feeding the continent. Women in agriculture, as you know, in our countries, are harvesting, processing, selling on markets, and so you find them all along that chain. So us sitting in the cities cannot talk of empowerment if we don't have those women with us. That's very important. Allow me really to go even further. I think we have to use, you're helping us with the TAT, and the technologies for this. Technology is very important. But rural areas are not that remote anymore. Of course, we need roads, access, but without it, we can directly reach the population through satellite. Just a small tablet with no connection needed, but inform the woman how she can improve what she is doing. If she's illiterate, you talk to her. If she's literate, you write to her. She reads it, she knows how to do. I'm sure that our continent will rise and really rise up very quickly if we empower those women who are doing the job, but giving them more importance, more tools, more skills, so that by doing so, by empowering them, we are all empowered. You said earlier that we are only 2 presidents on the continent. We are not doing well. That's for sure. I'm very proud to be one of them, but I'm very much ashamed to be lonely in that, to be only 2. It has to change. So this mindset has to definitely apply at all levels.
And one of the good things about whenever you chair a meeting is, whatever is, you say all in favor, say aye. We need more women presidents in Africa. All in favor, say aye. Oh, the ayes have it, as I say. Now, in closing, Madam President, on a more personal note, what is it that motivates you personally from your heart about tackling food insecurity?
Yeah, so you're getting me back to my early years, which is very far away now. I am from Ethiopia, a country that has suffered. I belong to that generation who has seen the suffering of our population, of the very abject, repeated famine because of land degradation and so on and so forth. And it has even taken a political dimension. We had a revolution, etc. It has been at the core of the transformation of the country. I always thought that the primary task has to be able to meet the demand of our population. And to do so, how can we really use all our resources to feed the population? Now with the wheat, we were able to export, as you have said. But first of all, it's meeting the demands, which we are doing. That really motivates me. There is no progress, total progress, if we have hungry population in our midst. That's very important. So this is what has been driving me, whether as an ambassador with the UN and so on. This has always been not at the back of my mind, really at the front of what I am in.
Well, thank you very much, Madam President. Change of mindset cannot go far if we don't unleash our potential. We must wake up. Self-sufficiency is not a necessity, but an obligation. With success, political will, critical clustering of farmers, the importance of value addition in industrializing agriculture, no agriculture without women, and Africa will rise if we empower women. Your Excellency, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you very much.